Think about your office, university, or school when everyone else has gone home. You step into a long, empty hallway. The doors are locked. The building is secure. You are standing inside a sterile concrete box built specifically to keep you safe. So why do you feel goosebumps on your skin? Why does a well-lit, empty building suddenly feel more dangerous than a dark forest? The internet calls these thresholds liminal spaces, and the creeping dread you feel inside them is deeply embarrassing. You are a rational adult. You know monsters do not exist. You know there is nothing hiding behind the vending machine. But your body does not believe you. Your breathing gets shallow. Your jaw locks. You walk a little faster. You are not losing your mind. You are experiencing a massive glitch in human software. To understand why an empty hallway feels like a nightmare, you have to forget the hallway. You have to forget the concrete and the drywall. You have to rewind the clock. For almost all of our 300,000 years on this planet, humans were not the apex predator. We were naked, slow, and soft. We were somewhere in the middle of the menu. We navigated a world that actively wanted to consume us. And in nature, death is not randomly distributed. It concentrates in specific geographic patterns. Ecologists call them ecotones. An ecotone is a region of biological transition. It is the exact line where the deep, tangled forest meets the open savanna. It is the muddy boundary where solid land drops off into deep water. These boundaries are where the ecosystem shifts, and mathematically, they are the most dangerous places on Earth. Predators do not hunt in the middle of an open field where they can be seen from miles away. They wait at the edges. They hide in the transitions. The ecotone is the killing floor. When you walk through a long, empty corridor, you are walking through a transition zone. It is a space designed exclusively for movement between two destinations. In nature, a corridor is a narrow ravine, a game trail, a fatal choke point. Our ancestors learned a very simple, very brutal rule. You do not linger in the transition zones. You move through them quickly, and you get back to safety. This danger is not just spatial, it is temporal. Think about twilight, dawn and dusk. These are temporal ecotones, the transitions between day and night. This is precisely when the visual advantage of primates begins to fail, and the night vision of large feline predators takes over. When you walk through an empty mall at midnight, or a train station at 3 in the morning, you are stacking an architectural ecotone on top of a temporal ecotone. You are wandering through a spatial transition during a time transition. Your biology is screaming at you that this is the exact time and place where something is going to lunge for your throat. Think about the specific place that makes you feel this way. That one empty building or late-night corridor that makes the hair on your arms stand up. Notice the shape of it. Notice how it forces you to move. What is your liminal space? Our brains evolved to instantly scan and score our environments for survival value. In the 1970s, geographer J. Appleton formulated a concept called prospect refuge theory. It explains human comfort through a ruthless biological lens. We feel safe only when two geometric conditions are met. First, we need prospect. We need to be able to see a long distance, to spot threats before they reach us. Second, we need refuge. We need a secure place to hide, a dark corner that protects our back and makes us invisible to the things we are looking at. Think about a cozy booth in the very back of a crowded coffee shop. You sit facing the door. You can see the whole room, but nothing can sneak up behind you. You have high prospect and high refuge. You feel entirely at peace. Now look at the liminal space. Look at the underground parking garage. Look at the hotel corridor. It is perfectly straight. It offers infinite prospect. You can see all the way down to the end of the line, but it offers absolutely zero refuge. There are no corners, no thick bushes, no shadows to slip into. If something were to step around the corner at the far end, you are completely, undeniably exposed. It is forced visibility without shelter. You are standing in a spotlight with no off switch. There is another layer to this architectural hostility. Look at the geometry of a liminal space. It is defined by relentless, unnatural repetition. Door after door after door. A grid of ceiling tiles stretching into infinity. In the natural world, perfect symmetry is incredibly rare. The forest is chaotic. The savanna is uneven. When our ancestors saw perfect symmetry in the wild, it usually meant only one thing: two eyes, perfectly aligned, staring directly back at them. The primitive brain assistants perfect symmetry with a predator locking on to its target. When you stand in a perfectly symmetrical hallway, your brain is processing the geometry of being watched. But the hallway is empty. You can see with your own eyes that it is empty. So why the creeping paranoia? Why the overwhelming, suffocating feeling of being observed? Because your brain is running an ancient, undeletable program called the Hyperactive Agency Detection Device. In the wild, analyzing information is a matter of life and death. If an early hominid hears a bush rustle in the dark, they have to make a split-second choice. They can assume it is just the wind, or they can assume it is a leopard. Evolution is a ruthless accountant, and it overwhelmingly favors paranoia. If you assume the rustling is a leopard and you run away, and it turns out to only be the wind, you lose a few calories. You look a little foolish in front of the tribe. Scientists call this a type 1 error, a false positive. But if you assume it is the wind and it is actually a leopard, you die. Your genetic line ends immediately. That is a type 2 error, a false negative. You are the descendant of the hominids who made type 1 errors. You are the offspring of the paranoid apes. You are the genetic legacy of the creatures who were afraid of the dark. Your brain is hardwired to assume that ambiguity means danger. In an empty liminal space, your brain is starved for normal sensory input. There is no wind. There are no birds. There is no human conversation. The environment is unnaturally sterile. And because your brain is a hyperactive agency detector, it cannot handle the silence. It refuses to believe that nothing is there. In the absence of data, it manufactures threats. It takes the shadows flickering under the dying fluorescent light and assigns them intention. It projects agency onto the emptiness. You feel like you are being watched because your brain has calculated that it is statistically safer to invent an invisible monster than to relax in a transition zone. If you want to keep exploring the hidden biology behind ordinary life, subscribe. We are only scratching the surface. The visual emptiness is only half the trap. There is an invisible layer to this creeping dread, and it vibrates right through the concrete walls. In the late 1990s, an engineer named Vic Tandy was working late in the medical laboratory. He was a rational man, a man of science, but alone in the lab, he started feeling a cold sweat, a sudden crushing depression, a deep, irrational fear that he could not explain. He even thought he saw a gray apparition forming in the corner of his eye. Tandy did not call an exorcist. He measured the acoustics of the room. He discovered that a newly installed extraction fan was emitting a low-frequency sound wave. Specifically, it was buzzing at around 18.9 hertz. This is infrasound. It is a sound wave that exists below the threshold of human hearing, but it is not below the threshold of human feeling. Sound is just physical pressure pushing through the air, and low frequencies can interact physically with human biology. Tandy found that frequencies around 18 or 19 hertz can resonate with the human eyeball, causing minor visual vibrations, smudges in the peripheral vision that look exactly like ghosts. More importantly, these frequencies can cause deep physiological distress. Your ears do not hear the danger, but your nervous system feels the pressure. Now think about the modern liminal space. Think about the basement level of a hospital. Think about the empty mall. These spaces are drowned in infrasound. The heavy rhythmic hum of industrial air conditioning systems, the constant electrical buzz of old fluorescent wiring, the deep vibration of an elevator shaft running through the center of the building. You cannot hear it consciously, but your chest cavity feels it. Your body registers a constant, low-level mechanical vibration, and your ancient brain misinterprets it. In the natural world, the only thing that produces a low, guttural vibration that you feel in your chest is a massive predator, a growl. We have completely conquered nature. We have paved over the dirt. We have cleared the forests. We have built perfectly symmetrical, climate-controlled boxes that stretch into the sky and bury deep into the earth. We are modern gods walking through concrete monuments of our own absolute dominance. Yet, we are entirely trapped inside the biology of prey. When you stand in that empty corridor, surrounded by painted drywall and synthetic carpet, the tension you feel is a ghost story. But the ghost is not floating at the end of the hallway. The ghost is not outside of you at all. The ghost is the terrified Pleistocene ape living inside your skull. It does not know about electricity. It does not know about security cameras. It does not understand that the doors are locked from the inside. It only knows that you are standing in a fatal choke point, fully exposed, devoid of any refuge, surrounded by a low mechanical growl, and you are not running. Modern architecture accidentally took the exact geometric and acoustic signature of a Paleolithic ambush zone and mass-produced it. We built our own nightmare. So the next time you find yourself alone in a long, empty hallway and you feel that cold prickle on the back of your neck, do not be ashamed of your fear. Do not try to rationalize it away. That irrational dread is the only reason you exist. It is a whisper from 300,000 years of ancestors, standing in the dark, begging you to keep moving.